When when Scott originally reached out to me to ask if we would do this, he one of the things he said was, "Hey, we've noticed that let's see, we've noticed that your kids love Jesus and like you guys, and that there you guys have like connection with you, especially like I think you guys were referring to, especially like the 17 and 21-year-old, which at least for us wasn't our experience with our own parents at that age. But what you didn't mention that you just said right now was that you did kids ministry with Kingston, who is the only like delightful one of our three kids by nature. So that explains why. Yeah, sometimes I don't know how much credit we could take for Kingston. He came out of the womb just sweet.
I think we were referring to the older one.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You were. That's what you said. Yeah. I was making a joke. Um, so I will say this that I don't think of us as particularly awesome parents when Scott shared like, hey, there's gonna be, it's mostly gonna be parents with young children probably there. We want to really be able to bless them. Thinking about us as parents, I'm like, I, I don't think we have like some crazy thing that we have to share because we've killed it at this. But I am equally, and I think both of us are equally as shocked when we look at our kids, especially the 17 and 21-year-old, and we have such deep connection with them and there's such deep trust there. One of the things that you would hear Emily and I say almost weekly in our house just to each other, like under our breaths, is I can't believe that Selah like talks to us about these things, or I can't believe that Solomon like comes to us for advice and wants to be around. Like we'll say it like whisper, like how did, and we'll say like how did this happen? Because the truth is we didn't have like and don't have some profound rule of life for our family like John Mark Comer's family. We didn't have like a family code like the Sujis have in their family. We didn't have some like defined vision for where we were taking our children. Um, but God did. God had a defined vision. And I think w- ha- it's probably better than I could have dreamed up, honestly. Um, and he had a way to get us there. He had like foresight into what he was wanting to build because ultimately like the family he's wanting to build looks like his family, right? Like he's wanting all for they're all going to have like unique characteristics, but ultimately like he's father, right? That's how we're told to refer to him. He knows how to do family. And so he has a plan and a vision, which I love tonight. There's going to be so much like listening to God for his heart and to hear from him because the truth is he has a vision for our family and families, and he knew how to like build what he was wanting to build and is building in our own family. And to build that, there was a lot of several different building blocks that we could look at now as like, oh, these are the components that God was putting in place in order to build what he was wanting to build in our family. And there's a few, but the one for us that we could point to as the number one, like, highest priority that had the most impact was emotional health for us. As we look back, when we started understanding what was happening inside of us and then how to bring Jesus into those places that transformed the deep parts of us, that then changed the outward parts of us. I'm not exaggerating when I say every single relationship in our lives went from like level 3, 4 to eventually like 7s and 8s. Like the connection and honesty and trust just grew insanely with the Lord with others, with each other, and then in turn with our kids. And so Emily's going to share something in just a second. I'm just going to say a few more things, but w- we we were forced into, having to go to these places because of just some tragedy in our lives. Um, but when we did, we started becoming like personally healthy, and then our connection became healthy. And then, to be honest, if we're talking about kids, like, we didn't actually even intentionally like do anything with our kids. It just we were changing, so the culture of our family changed. And when the culture of the house changed, our kids started changing. And now their relationships are changing. And so we have 12 to 15 minutes to talk tonight. So we're just going to skim the surface of what it has looked like for us to like go down into the deep layers and begin to get healthy on a deeper level. And we're going to do that through sharing a tool called Layers of the Heart that Emily is going to give us an overview of. And I will hand out a little worksheet because if you like me, visuals are helpful. So take one for each couple and then after the awesome. Hey, well, wait a second, Terry. Okay. Wife. Gets is this
My topic: say only quote in the morning.
raise your hand if you don't have one. Okay. Great.
So this is there's a lot of different tools that the Lord's used in our life, and when we came across this one, we felt like it was an explanation of things that we had already experienced in our life. So it was really cool to get a physical picture of something that we were already walking in. So that's what we just handed out to you. And whenever someone would talk about the heart, uh, it felt like somebody was speaking another language. We weren't really sure what that meant. I was reading all the books and trying to figure it all out, and nothing was really penetrating. And I thought that it was some kind of magic trick where you can get to someone's motives or figure out why they were doing what they were doing, either in a relationship in marriage or in a relationship with our children. And I did not know what it meant to care for someone's heart, hear someone's heart. I didn't understand what that meant. And the reason that I didn't know how to get to someone else's heart is because I didn't know how to get to my own heart. I didn't know what was going on inside of me because I don't know, my strange interpretation of what I thought was Christ-like and godly was for me to disappear and become a shell of a human because that is laying down my life. And Jesus, in his interpretation of what that means, it is absolutely true to die to the sinful things, right? To lay down our life for others and to not die to the unique, beautiful ways that God has created all of us and our children individually. So that was a profound discovery later in our marriage. And when I learned how to get into what was going on inside of me and care for not only other people's hearts, but my heart, we started learning how to care for our children's hearts in a completely revolutionary way. And so the paper you have is the layers of the heart. This is our very simplified, skimming the surface of something that we've been walking in for over 10 years, and it's been transformative in our relationships. Now, number one, you see on the outside circle is actions. That is like the crust of the earth, if you can imagine it. It's the very, very skimming the surface of what happened. So if there's ever anything happening in a relationship and there's a conversation to be had, the always that this is kind of where we lived a lot of our life is what happened, what was going on, what were the accounts of the things that took place. And number two, however, I experienced this, I didn't understand how to put it into words. Number two layer is emotions. And that would be the question, how does that make you feel? And this is where we dig deeper, which honestly takes time and intentionality. And a lot of our stunted emotional health was because we gave no value to our emotions. And we didn't know that there was another option to shepherd them with Jesus. It wasn't a ruling of what was going on inside of us, but a knowing and a shepherding in surrender. Now, not only were we unaware and unintentionally training our children to be unaware of their emotions, you're fine, get over it, get up, you're fine. But we didn't even have language for what was going on inside of us, let alone helping our children figure out what was going on inside of them. And so our amazing therapist had a laminated PDF of emotions. And so I put some on the back of your handout because it's so fascinating when we know that we have something going on, but for some reason we don't have language for it. So just having words in front of our face was so helpful. And it's important because we now don't excuse away immature behavior, but we could grow to be more honest. And connection, honestly, that's like our goal. That's our goal, is connection. And it can only happen when there's trust. And when someone feels safe and they feel like you're being honest, that's when you can have connection. And that's how you can repair relationships, is when there can be an honest, even owning an honesty of what is happening, and someone feels safe when there's that honesty and there can be repair. Next layer down is experience. So we had the actions, the surface level, the emotions. How does that make you feel? And now the experience. What story are you telling yourself? This one's kind of the hard one, the gray water for me, because I have a knee-jerk reaction to make assumptions. And that's the devil's playground, right? Where we compartmentalize, or where we ignore, where we shut down. I'm saying we, I mean I. And I didn't know that there was a better way. There was an option. I didn't have to react in that way when I'm telling myself a certain story. And I could model and engage with my kids in that healthy way. And this is usually where we are when we're at that layer where we are telling ourselves a story. That's where the enemy likes to lie. That's where he likes to come in, and that's where he likes to plant seeds of deception. And he loves to whisper lies, and he starts young. It is crazy to talk to children who are already telling themselves a story that is not true. And the core level, the last layer, the beautiful place that if by God's grace we can walk there and function and be able to access that place, it's beliefs. What is the I am statement that we're making because of this experience or this conversation or this thing that happened? What are we believing? And when we can get there, that is where the core is. And that's where we can apply the truth of the gospel. And that's where real change happens. When we can understand what is true and hear where we're really believing something and welcome Jesus into that place. And this is where the gospel can be applied. So those are the layers of the heart: actions, emotions, experience, and belief. And Dom's going to go a little bit, give some examples and take us a little deeper.
I'm gonna ask you to do something on the spot. You can
Okay.
say no if you don't want to do it. But I had an example of like how this works with kids, like a kid in first, second grade. But we also thought it would be cool to share an example of how this works with us, just adults, because when we begin to do this and apply the gospel,
I think I know what you're going to ask, and I'm okay with it.
that's when it affects the world. So I was like, I wish I had like
A real time.
a real time,
Oh, we
like
got
recent,
that here.
a recent,
You want to talk about the
a recent example of when this happened. So an hour and a half ago, Are you cool?
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do the like learning to care for your heart. So my goal is to go from the crust to the core right now, and then when we get to the core, to bring in the gospel. Okay, I'm gonna go through the layers of the heart, and I'm gonna do it step by step. I'm not gonna go from here to plunging, which is what I have a tendency to do. I'm gonna follow the, and I'm gonna try to do it in like a minute. Okay, so um you go ahead and tell me in action. I'm like standing up. I'm ready. I'm gonna sit down.
I know.
Why-
Wow.
Why don't you share
What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Okay. So we were going over what we were going to talk about. And I had typed out some thoughts last night and sent it to Don, and he was editing it and like giving me his thoughts. And so he cut out a bunch of things that I thought were very important and relevant. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But on the inside, I was seething. So that's what happened.
Okay. Yes, that is what happened. I'm gonna refrain from giving any more details of my.
Because he felt like the things weren't actually relevant to what we were talking about. I'll get
Yeah,
on it.
no, it's good. Thank you for sharing that.
But it
So
was my process, not his. So it was like,
yeah, okay.
it's different. We're different.
So what did that make you feel like when I?
I felt angry. I felt not valued. I felt like my process was small and your process was big. And that feels young because that's how I felt in my house growing up.
Hold on, you just went all the way. Let's stay at feelings. We've done this so many times that we just like go. Okay, made you feel angry, and what other emotions on? And let's use the list.
Okay.
What other emotions on the list?
Have it.
Oh, we don't have it. There it
It's
is.
okay. I found it. Yeah, I felt angry and stupid is a lot of the lie that I usually believe, that I'm not intelligent, that I felt stupid.
So that kind of gets into the next one, like what your experience. What's the story that you're
Yeah.
telling yourself?
So the story I was telling myself was that I didn't matter. And when I heard him explaining what he was going to say, it was very lengthy. And I was like, why did you get all the length and I had to cut mine? So that made me feel, again, devalued and irritated. Probably say a lot of these that
Yeah.
I was feeling.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So we're doing this really fast, right? This would be like a 15-20 minute conversation. I'd be owning stuff, which I already did in the car. Everyone, I already own some stuff. We already like prayed through it and worked through it. Just FYI. So if you could put like a I am statement on that, even if it's a lie, what would the I am stand? So this is beliefs. What would that sound like?
I am not valuable.
So this is, you wouldn't always do this, right? When I'm the one who caused the pain right now. So I need to like,
Even though it wasn't his intention, it still had that impact on
so I need to own that. If this happened at work and she came on and was telling me a story about what happened at work and she got to the same belief, I don't need to own anything on behalf of the person who hurt her at work, right? But because I'm the offender in this situation, I'm just gonna say, once again, I'm so sorry that I caused that kind of pain that made you like feel all those feelings, tell the story, and then feel like you're not enough and believe that. And I don't ever want to do stuff that makes you feel like you're not enough. You are enough. You're so valuable. Hearing you talk right now is just like admiring how incredible you are and what an amazing communicator you are. And the stuff that you added in that wasn't on script was so good. And I'm so glad you like brought in your heart. And thank you for doing that. And here's the gospel. And you are so valuable, Em, and matter so much in the kingdom and to our family and to the Lord. And he created your mind beautifully and made you unique and special, and your perspective is like needed in the world. And you are like, you're valuable to him. That's why Jesus gave his life for you. And I love you. And I'm sorry that I hurt you.
I love you. I forgive you.
Okay. I didn't realize I was going to get so like deep and emo. It's my fault. Now I want to give a really quick example to, okay, how can this work with like a second grader? Emily teaches second grade. I was thinking, this is because our goal is always to get to below the surface. So here's what happens. Kid comes home, how's school, son? It's good. Well, what happened? Actions. What happened? Oh, I took his math test and I got all the answers right. And then in the playground, I tripped and I scraped my knee and it really hurt. So we can address the actions. We can be like, wow, good job getting the A on the test. Oh my gosh, you hurt your knee. Are you okay? Stay there, which is fine. It's okay. Or we could start to venture into the depths. We could say, you got an A on your test? What did that make you feel like? Oh, joy, happy, proud, satisfied, shocked. I was a little shocked because I didn't study for it. Yeah, I think that's it. That's what it is. Oh, cool. We just got the next layer of the heart, right? We can keep going down there to where we got to a belief maybe that was like, I'm smart. I'm smart. That's a belief. Like, yes, you are smart, dude. That's like a true belief, right? Scraped the knee. Well, how did you feel after you scraped it? Well, I was like in pain. Okay, but like we're trying to get through emotions, right? Here's a list of emotions. And so I don't know where they're at on here, but he was like, I was embarrassed. Oh, dude, we just like went there, right? We went from, are you okay? Let me put a band-aid on it to I'm embarrassed, which is exactly, of course he felt like that. And like tripped in front of all of his friends, right? At recess. I was embarrassed. Oh, okay. And then we can use some language to try to get to the story that they're telling, so which might sound something like, I always mess up and everybody's always looking at me. Whoa. Okay. And then to the belief, which is like, I can't do anything right. Right. I'm just using an example here. All of a sudden, we just went from like I skinned my knee to this like deep thing that's causing the tears to well up, which half the tears are because of the pain on the knee, half the tears are because of the pain in the heart. Right. And so it's like, whoa, we just got to the core belief that is like, I always mess everything up. I always mess everything up. And then we can bring the truth of the gospel in and begin to speak into their lives. That method of going from actions to getting to the heart is where like transformation happens in any person, including our children, including our spouse. But as I'm saying this, many of us are like, dude, I don't know how to do that. Like, that's crazy. Like, you just did that. I can't do that. And that's why we said, hey, us getting healthy, emotionally healthy and maturing emotionally and doing all of that, like work with an incredible Christian therapist and all that. That's how we got there to the point where it's fluid now. And we just like do this with our kids. When Scott and Bree look at our kids and they're like, how do they love Jesus? They're like surrender to Jesus, love you guys, ask you guys for like guy and girl advice when they're 17 and 21. Like, how is that happening still? I'm like, it's this kind of stuff. We created a culture in our family that was healthy and it spilled out into our kids to where there was like this like openness now among us. So we talked longer than 15 minutes. I'm sorry, but I think I don't know if you want to leave this part or you want me to read it, but wanted to leave just another 10 minutes or so to have a time of Q&A. It doesn't have to be in regards to things we just shared. No question is off limits. We don't confess to have the answers to all of your questions. So we may say, I don't know, talk to the Sujis. We may say that. Um, but no question is off limits. So there you go. Yeah.
When did you notice like a shift with your kids? Was there a time when they were like, you felt like, oh, our connection is struggling, and then like, I guess, how did that transition go from, yeah, were they like, oh, something's different in our family, or were they too young to notice?
Do I answer that?
I'll start.
Yeah.
I know we probably both have something to say. I feel like it puberty hit and you're like, what in the world? Where did my kid go?
All the connection went away.
Where? How did what? And the rebuilding there. But specifically when there was a huge change, it was when we had personal loss, when we had a son that died. And when God started putting our pieces back together, and we started learning to be healthy and recognize patterns that we had developed in our childhood for survival and brought into our marriage and brought into our parenting and become aware of that. Our older two would say, yeah, I remember a shift, and Kingston was just too young. And I mean, there were moments when I was talking to my daughter who was in so much pain and I had no idea what to say, not because I didn't understand. I was a girl and I would remember junior high. I had no tools. I had no access to getting to what mattered and to address it. And so I remember driving in the car, trying to connect with her, taking her out, shopping, anything to like connect with her, and it just being cold and quiet. And I didn't know how to break through. And couple years later, it was a completely different story.
You know,
It was nonstop talking and laughing and crying and all of the things.
Yeah, I try to forget, I think, those, like, early teenage years, and I kind of, like, rose-colored glass them because they were actually really hard. Not only were we recovering from tragedy, but those 2 kids, our 2 older kids, were crazy. Like, Kingston's not crazy. He's hit puberty. He's like level 2. They were, like, 11, and it was really hard, and it didn't feel like there was any connection there at that time, but we kept practicing our tools of, like, taking ownership when we would blow it and, like, trying to, like, get to what they were feeling, even though, "I'm not telling you what I'm feeling," even, like, there was all that going on, but the fact that we kept showing up with open hearts and we kept practicing with each other and with them healthy, like, things when they got past all their psychotic teenage years, they were, like, immediately, like, right here, like, ready to talk about all their stuff and all their feelings. I remember Solomon at 14, maybe 15, saying to Selah, who's 21 now, Selah, Solomon, Kingston. So, right? Solomon's like 14 or 15, Selah's like 17, 18. And he's like, can't believe you talk to mom about all your guy stuff. I'm never gonna talk to mom and dad about girls. Like, oh, they don't know, they're not gonna know anything about anything that's going on in my life ever. And she's like, Solomon, I'm telling you, like, they're really wise and they really love you. You should. He's like, I'm never gonna do it. Fast forward 2 years later, he's like, hey, so there's this girl. I don't know.
All the time.
Every day there's a new girl.
Every day. Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know if hopefully that answers. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a consistency part.
Yes.
And-
Even when you couldn't see the fruit.
And like we would like go into our room, like be like, you guys, it's time for me and dad to connect. And we would like we still cherish the time they know it's like mom and dad are connecting, which that's a whole.
We're not talking sexually, by the way. We're talking.
Although we like that too. Like, this is like time where we're asking questions where we get beyond the surface of the heart together. We do that every day, 30 to 40 minutes, have been for 7 years now. And it's something we will never like stop doing. It's so valuable. We love it. We look forward to it. And our kids started to see this like pattern of like, whoa, mom and dad like really value each other and really cherish each other. And it just translates.
Exactly. That's so good.
Yeah.
wait, so I missed it. What do you do with the 30 or 40 minutes?
Oh, just connect.
Every day?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
at a certain time, let's say?
Yes. We
6:15 a.m.
6:15. We try.
Gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, it's insane.
No,
Oh, it's insane.
it's a sacrifice. it's a sacrifice. It means we have to go to bed earlier in order to get up earlier, but we completely prioritize it because it has made 1,000% difference in our marriage.
Can you show what that looks like? Really quickly?
Yeah, we did this at a marriage thing.
Yeah,
I remember that.
the Thanos
But we
acronym.
normally use this tool. We'll do it really quick.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
You want to just do me since
Yeah,
I
sure.
did
What
you?
are you feeling today?
So Fanos.
Not how are you feeling? What?
FANOS. This is a tool to like get past the surface.
We do it with our kids sometimes.
We do it with our
because we love it.
kids. The idea is you're not trying to fix the other person. You're just trying to be an empathetic,
That's-
present listener.
Yeah.
So,
What are you feeling today?
what am I feeling?
Got up
I
at
feel a little-
4:30.
I feel a little nervous in my gut because I'm watching the timer go by right now, and I feel humbled that we get to share with a few people about some of these things.
Yeah. What do you appreciate about me today?
A is for appreciate.
I get to hear that every morning.
What do you
What do
appreciate?
you feel about me?
Isn't that fun?
It's so fun.
It was hard at first.
It was hard.
For
I think because we were always on the defense or offense, and there was this underlying like offense that we didn't know how to, besides time and a cold shoulder, we didn't know how to deal with it. So like as we started to grow closer and healthier and connect in a way that's healthier, we started to scan the horizon for things we're thankful for. It could be something small, like thank you so much for doing the dishes. I appreciate that you saw that last night. Or
I think it was hard too because we're not accustomed to it felt like arrogant or something and
Right.
self-centered and we're at least our church culture growing up was like you don't ever like to deny self is to not even think about self.
right.
As opposed to like shepherding self to Jesus
Right.
is like the redeemed version of that.
Mhm.
I think that was part of it. So what do I appreciate about you?
Yeah.
I appreciate that you were willing to be so brave in front of all these people about a thing that happened so
Thanks.
recently.
Thanks. So what do you need?
N is for need. What do you need?
What do you need?
It's
That's
hard.
always my hardest.
I'm gonna have to stick to this if I say it. I need to Sabbath tomorrow.
Good idea. What do you need to own?
O is for own.
That's his hardest.
I need to own that I wasn't more gentle when I was making those edits and I didn't think about how they might make you feel when I suggested them and that I didn't invite you into the conversation about it more.
Wow. What are your struggles and tools?
S is for struggles and tools.
We're doing this very fast.
Yeah.
Like usually
It's a 30-minute.
but I'm not trying to fix anything and I'm not trying to like add information. I'm listening with empathy, which I also didn't know what empathy meant. But learned that too.
S, struggles and tools. This is our struggle every other day. It's an honest struggle. I'm just gonna say it.
Help.
We usually have the same one.
I know.
It consists most times lately of different junk food groups. Is the struggle. So carne asada fries. Right now. Usually it's cookies. Sometimes in more heavy seasons, it's like, dude, I'm struggling to believe truth about you or myself or whatnot. There's like obviously. So yeah, struggling to just like eat well since we got back from vacation 2 weeks ago. My tools are just one meal at a time. Just like make good, healthy decisions, one meal at a time, and to make sure that I go to work out tomorrow. On my Sabbath.
Sabbath.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Good.
It won't be physically restful, but it'll be mentally and
So
emotionally restful.
sometimes we go, what are you feeling? What are you feeling? What do you appreciate? What do you appreciate? Or sometimes we just get the feeling. And that took 30 minutes because we got a lot of feelings. Because now we know how to get to our heart and we didn't used to. So,
So that's a most common tool
And you do that every day.
every single
Every
day.
day.
And here's what it does.
but
is-
I'm not left wondering what his process is and speculating.
Yeah.
I know what's going on. I know what he's struggling with. I know what he's feeling. I know what's going on in his heart.
Yeah.
How you guys can do it.
7
7
years, I
years.
think. Yeah.
We did not do it at 4:30 this morning.
No, Sundays.
I
Sundays
did it
are
at
off.
4:30 this morning.
We rest from connecting on Sundays. Sorry. Yes, Leanne.
Question if you have time, but it is a hard question, that's funny. But what do you do if your spouse says they have an offense they present to you, and you actually feel like that's their faith, that's not your,
Mm, yeah, that's a great question.
or maybe it's partially.
Is it an offense that they feel like you have caused against them?
Like, meaning, like, I'll use Paul as an example, but like, for example, if Paul said, I'm really mad at you about something, in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't think I actually did that to you. I think that's more an area, it's probably the reverse.
Yeah, I get it.
It's probably reverse. Like, I'm insecure
Totally.
and I'm putting that on him.
Right.
And then he's like, I'm happy to say sorry, but I don't think that is actually
100%. As Emily said at the beginning, like there are so many tools that we have learned to use in our lives all the time. This is just one of them. One of the other tools that we use, like I don't know, unfortunately every other day probably, is the tool of taking ownership for the impact of your actions, which is different than taking ownership for your actions. Sometimes your intentions are good. You didn't like do anything particularly wrong or sinful or like objectively hurtful. And yet it had an impact on the other person that was hurtful. So you can take ownership for the impact of your actions. And our our counselor who we went to for a couple of years um, says that trust is established and built in a relationship not when both parties are constantly perfectly living trustworthy, because nobody can do that and act perfectly trustworthy in every single manner, but when you are constantly taking ownership for the impact of your actions on the other person. That's actually where trust is established in a relationship. So I may know, like, whoa, I did a level 2 thing or level 1 thing to her. She's reacting at a level 8. That gap between what I did and how she's reacting doesn't have to do with me. There's something else. There's like her story, some pain from her dad, like a belief system. She's at that time of the month, like whatever it may be, right? Like I'm tired because I've been up since 4:30 in the morning and I'm like a little on edge. There's something happening in that, like for between 1 and 8. But I can still take ownership for the impact that my actions had on her, even though it was a level 1 action that caused a level 8 uh reaction in her. And that has been unbelievably helpful. And then later we can talk about like, hey, I just want to identify like I did did what I do, did it what I my actions, did that seem like an 8? And she'll be like, no, it was like a 2. Did you feel like you were having an 8 reaction? 100%. Can we talk about like this? Oh yeah, I think I was believing this lie. And right, we figured out how to get to the beliefs pretty quickly. I think I was like living this lie and I don't want to walk in that. And so then we can do that work, right? We can like, okay, now we can talk about the beliefs
And something that we've learned is like in a relationship, you put money in the bank. So every time you have connection with someone, you're like, depositing money,
Mm.
depositing money. And because we work on depositing so much in our relationship, um, when there is offense, we're not reacting from a deficit. We're not reacting because we're totally empty and there's no connection there. And here I am just reacting. And a lot of times, because there's so much trust and money in the bank, I can receive from him, hey, that feels young. That feels like a young offense that you're bringing into our marriage that's like not happening right here at this present time. It feels like something that you've used as a survival skill from your past. And so there's like that kind of language that I can receive from him and he can receive from me because we've been depositing into our marriage bank.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys again so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Next is what this whole thing is kind of about, which is everybody getting to go off as couples and time together. So we also had a little printout. And Brie and I also had opportunities to work through things and creating a Unisci. Well, like, honestly,
Yeah.
anyway, I'll just like quickly walk you through it. Hopefully, the whole point of this is for you guys to like kind of have full. I like your goals too. Um, there's a couple points, so you only get through a couple of these. Fantastic. You want to take some and go through the rest at home. Wonderful. The first is just time of encouraging, just asking questions. The second is the two parts, starting with truth. So first is just asking God specific questions. There's prayers and prompts we have here, so it's kind of like for you to. There's note section if you want to write anything, or if you use your phone. The second is asking God on behalf of your spouse. So I might ask like, God, what do you see in Bree that you want her to know? And then for me to take that and just share that. So for me to just say like, God, how do you see Bree? And then for me to just simply pray, stop, take a couple minutes, and then to then share like, this is what I believe God's wanting to show you. Next is we call it inspired vision. So we have a bunch of prompts here like we hope our home is known for. When our kids are grown, we pray that they'll remember our home as. One fear we want to trust God with. When life is busy and hard, we want to remind others. So it's just prompts for you to kind of fill in the blank. We said just choose 3. There's a lot, so just choose 3. Keep it simple. And then finally here is do this next. So with all the discussion tonight is choose just one action that you'll take this next week. Write out what you think would happen if you actually do that. And then finally is who's going to hold you accountable. So that might be like a friend, like say, but it's like Travis, I'm going to tell, like, we'll choose something and do that. And then I decided to make a text. You can just take a picture and say, hey, check in with me in a week, something like that. And then the last is if you're kind of struggling with like a question of God, how do you see me? We have a whole bunch of verses listed out of who I am in Christ. And you can just look at scripture and you get some truth there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sitting. This might feel like, oh man, this is gonna take a lot of work. I'm kind of tired right now. I kind of just want to actually sit back and listen. But this is sitting back and listening, and this is probably gonna be the most energizing, refreshing thing, too. And to kind of take away the funny feelings about it is like all of us have the Holy Spirit if we've said like Jesus is Lord and trusted in Him, and our greatest goal is just to listen to the Lord and obey Him every day in every little thing as much as we possibly can. So this is just training our hearts to like listen to that voice, even when He's like, "Oh, go do this or that." It's not, just so we can like, "Oh, there you are, Lord. I want to do that. I want to do that little thing." And so it's just a really cool way to do that, and to do it in a really purposeful way to bless our spouse and to hear from the Lord for ourselves. So just to take away any of that like feelings about it, it's just like. So, yeah.
We tested it out and it was
Yep.
really fun.
We did it a couple times.
It was really sweet. It was kind of like you
Yeah.
guys. It's like, it's not work.
Yeah.
You know,
You're like, oh,
it's a blessing.
I'm leaving better than I found
Yeah.
myself, and leaving him better. So, and it could be painful. So even if you just like need to pause and don't rush through it, I think another thing we realized with this is like, wow, this is really slowing us down. We kind of go at a fast pace. It's good to be slowed down. God goes at a different pace than we do sometimes, and that's okay. So that's like, you don't need to get through it all. So just kind of be sensitive for that. Pieces.
Last 2 things. We're going to break now, and it's 7:37. At 8:10, I'm going to find everybody. So again, whole yard's open. We have chairs. You can go to the pool area or bring chairs to tables.
We should see here too.
Yeah, or you can stay here. Again, snacks, drinks. If you need to go to the bathroom inside the house and then into the right, there's a hallway. There's 2 bathrooms on the right there. And then at 8:10, we'll come back. 8:15, we'll come back and we can share something. So also the last thing is, I want to talk to the other spouse to say like, hey, are you okay if we share X, Y, and Z? So hey, that was kind of private. So I really want you sharing that. So anyway, just make mutual agreement on that. And then our goal is to end by 8:30. Last little logistical thing. We don't have boards, but we have a whole bunch of large books. So